Okay, got fielded some questions about what rifle I'll be running for the upcoming Quantified Performance match. So this is the rifle I call Daisy. I built her about 3 years ago to run in my first actual long-range shooting competition, which was the 2018 Mammoth Sniper Challenge down at Blakely, Georgia, at the Arena Training Facility. So basically what we have here is a Zev receiver set. That's their large frame, and it's the receiver set in handguard. We got a Criterion barrel. That's actually the third barrel I've had on this rifle since I built it originally. I'm running a carbine length buffer system. It's completely custom. I couldn't even tell you what kind of spring I had in there or buffer, because it's been specifically tuned for this weapon. I'm running that B5 Systems precision carbine stock. I really dig that over, let's say, even say the Magpul. Magpul is great, super solid, got great adjustability. Biggest issue for me is that I have kind of a large chest and shoulders, and so the length of pull never quite goes short enough for my liking. I like to run a little choked up on the gun, so that way, you know, when I transition from prone into a standing position or a kneeling position, I can actually still maintain a good length of pull with the optic and the buttstock. So that's why I choose that one over the Magpul. Like I said, the Magpul is great. I still have some Magpuls on my other rifle at home, but on this one I like to run that. I'm running a POF two-stage trigger. It breaks right around 4 pounds, I believe. That's a newer one for me. I'm trying it out right now. It's pretty crisp, a little heavier than I typically like in a match rifle, but definitely from a carbine standpoint, it's pretty average there. Like I said, you got a Criterion barrel in there. It's a 22-inch, 1 in 8 twist. It's not an exceptionally heavy taper. Honestly, it was a friend of mine had it laying around, brand new, didn't really have a use for it. So my other barrel, which was a Lothar Walther, which is, you know, my favorite barrels to run, was getting a little long in the tooth. I had put a few thousand rounds through it, so it was about time to change it over. Those are the weights that we talked about last week. As you can see, I just shifted them down the rail a little bit so they wouldn't be lined up with that gas block, and we wouldn't have any touching of the hardware with the gas block. I'll be running the Area 419 Arca Swiss rail on the bottom there. That's the one with the scallops in there. I like that a lot, using the the Area 419 clamp in conjunction with it. It's a nice lockup. Still allows you to kind of lock in place, but yet, you know, loosen it up slightly and slide it back and forth. It's pretty nice setup. The bipods are actually one of the Team Military Sniper Foundation sponsors. That's the B&T Industries Cal bipod. That's the long version. I like this a lot because it's a little bit wider than your traditional Cal, which I'll show you here in a few minutes. The Cals, though, they're really great. They're wider than the older Atlas bipods. They took out the pan feature, and I'm really digging it. And I also really like the lever that they have for adjusting the tension. Our optic is the Leupold Mark V. I've actually been running that for a while. It's a 5x25. It's got the Horus reticle in there. It's a great optic. You know, there's many great optics out there, but I've actually been running that one for a better part of 3 years now. I think I was one of the first people to actually have one, and I've had some great results with that. I've taken it all over the world to compete. For scope mount, I'm trying out the Badger Condition 1 mount. This is a really nice modular mount because you know, you have the ability to mount a T1 or a T2 in a multitude of different positions, along with anti-cant devices, an angle cosine indicator, and so on and so forth. Also has the option for a laser range-finding bridge on the top. I'm not running that right now. I was last week while I was doing some practice. I'm just taking it off because I'm working on my hand position for my support hand when I'm in non-prone positions, and I kind of like resting it on the top. And you know, a lot of people use the laser range finding bridge to index off of, but I just wasn't really digging the feel of it. I got the aim point off to the 45. You can see there, that's an aim point T2. I'll be using the Armageddon gear, Game Changer. I got a mini and a full size. That's actually one of the original full sizes, so it's nothing special. It's still heavy and all that kind of stuff, but I really kind of dig it. Obviously, Kestrel for our ballistics, and then I'll be shooting the Berger 140 grain factory loads. This is their newer stuff. It has the large rifle primer, as you can see here. So what they did was initially these came out in the Lapua brass with the small rifle primer. There was a lot of issues in gas guns with people blowing primers. You had to use a really high pressure bolt like the JP. Not everybody had those, and there were some inconsistency issues. So they switched to the large rifle primer and fixed that right up. So out of my gun, you know, this thing's got a 0.6 BC, which is real nice and high, and I'm getting sub 10 SDs out of it, right around 2,700 to 55 feet per second out of that 22-inch barrel. So that's plenty fast. So this is the backup rifle I'll be bringing. I don't really expect any issues with my other rifle, but in the event that something goes down, we break a trigger, or whatever might happen, we'll have this one as a spare. I don't want to throw the match out just because I have run into an issue on one stage. So what we got here is a pretty basic SP10 from Seekins. It's in 6.5 Creedmoor. It's also a 22-inch barrel. So you got factory barrel, factory receivers, factory handguard, factory internals. The only things we've really done to this is we added the B5 systems, precision carbine stock, for all the same reasons I talked about before. It's got an ergo grip on there, just a nice little fatter grip than what comes on their factory. I've also added the Area 419 rail, just as I did on the other rifle, the clamp, just as I did on the other rifle, and then the B&T Industries Cal bipod. This is the short version here. As you can see, it's a couple inches shorter there. I'll be running a different mount on this one. That's actually a spur mount. I've had that for a few years. That's what I originally started to use when the Mark V came out. It's really nice and modular too, although I don't really have anything else on there at this point in time. I'm running the same Leupold Mark V 5x25 with Horus reticle. And then in this gun, because it does have a high pressure bolt, kind of going back to what we talked about with the last ammo, I will be running the Berger 130 ammo. This is on the Lapua brass, but it still has the small rifle primers. In this gun, I don't have any issues with blowing primers because of the particular bolt that's inside of it. So I prefer the 130s over the 140s just because they do shoot a little faster. I lose a little bit in BC, but not a whole lot, but I kind of make up for it in about 100 feet per second faster overall load. And I like to run that for competition. It's nice low recoiling. 6.5 overall is low recoiling, of course, but it's a little bit less recoil, shoots a little flatter, shoots a little faster. And my data between the two guns with these two different cartridges is within 0.1 at 1,000. So, and the wind's almost identical, so no issues there. One thing to note on both of these guns is that I will not be running suppressed. I typically do, but on a match like this where we'll be shooting a lot of rounds, the potential to get pretty dirty is there. And what I've found is sometimes when I'm running suppressed, kind of towards the end of the matches, I'll start to see a little bit of malfunctions just from the buildup of carbon inside the system. It seems to be a little bit more profound when I do run suppressed over non-suppressed in a gas gun. So in this particular match, I just won't be.